happening. This is a really big opportunity for New Zealand Muslims, whether they're converts or whatever, to educate our fellow New Zealanders about Islam. So have you got any suggestions about how we can all come together from different backgrounds, different cultures, different countries to sort of, go forward in that area?
I was at a great event in Christchurch. It was a sisters only event, and many different nationalities came together there, and it was wonderful. And we had entertainment from different sections of the community, and it really was very unifying. And I think that more events like that, events like this, food is a great unifier. I was at a fantastic event last year where everybody came with one of their national dishes, and there were more than 25 different countries represented, and I ate for Britain, and mercifully for them I didn't bring any food from Britain, because let's face it, I think Chirac was right when he said that when he criticised English cuisine. But events like that, events like this are great unifiers. I have visited 2 schools today. One here, there are 25 different nationalities in this school alone, which is great, and our children are a common bond, and maybe through the schools, through the Muslim schools, parents can organise events and get together as well, because let's face it, if we can't integrate among ourselves, we've got no chance of integrating in the wider world.
Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum salam.
Well, we welcome you in New Zealand.
Thank you.
And inshallah, there will be a lot of benefit actually while you're here, inshallah, and we hope you're coming back again. Like you just mentioned us that we write letter to the editors and also talk back. Well, myself, of course, yesterday I was on 1ZB yesterday, and I give a good talk about Winston Peter and few things. And also I did mention people, okay, why don't you people come to the Gandhi Hall on Saturday 7 o'clock and ask yourself question to the sister who just came from England. I did introduce yourself on the 1ZB. And also today in Masjid Umar, which is Mount Roskill, there is a Herald people came and they took our interview. And inshallah you see probably my picture or somebody else's photo will come tomorrow in Herald. And we did actually give a good talk about, okay, the mosque is open for Winston Peter. He doesn't have to go anywhere else, or either he get a cop job, he can be follow Chinese and Indians and them and give them a hard time. The question actually I'm asking is this, that since you become a Muslim, alhamdulillah, and what actually happened when when become you Muslim and you used to be a journalist for the newspaper? What happened after that? Obviously they got much of shock and surprise, and probably you must go through some difficulties.
When I went into Afghanistan, I was the chief reporter of the Sunday Express, and in fact, I must tell you this little story. My publisher, Richard Desmond, a Jewish businessman, very hard-nosed, astute businessman, he sent his right-hand man to go and negotiate directly with the Taliban for my release, and he said 1 million, 2 million, whatever it takes, just bring her back. And the editorial director went out to Islamabad and knocked on the door of the Taliban embassy, and he was with an Urdu-speaking lawyer, and she kept this man right on matters of etiquette, and they were very impressed that they had bothered to go directly to the embassy, because the Taliban had been ostracized by the entire world. Nobody was talking to them, and yet here some Westerners rolled up, knocked on the door, wanted to sit down and talk. And that evening, Paul Ashford, the editorial director, called the publisher Richard Desmond And he said, I didn't get out the checkbook. And he went, oh, how much do they want? And he said, well, I don't think they want money, Richard, and I think it would have been the worst thing possible had I got out the checkbook and said, how much do you want? And he said, so what are they after? Arms? And he said, no, they just want to be treated with some respect. And Mr. Desmond said, are these people sick? And as a hard-nosed businessman, he couldn't understand why they wouldn't have been interested in money. But you know, he and the team worked round the clock to get me out of that situation. And I've forgotten what the question was now.
How you had you have a hard time from them when becoming Muslim?
Oh right, yes. So yes, that was just to show how valuable the company, or how they valued me, and I left a few months later because I wanted to go back to Afghanistan, and they said, we can't go through the same again, you'll be targeted, and we parted on friendly terms, and I still, even now, do occasional work for them. And then I moved into television and radio and expanded my brief, and now I'm working for the Islam channel. I've got a couple of brochures here for anybody who is interested, and I have to say at this point that my views that I've expressed tonight aren't aren't necessarily those of the Islam channel. Just thought I'd get that one in. But so now I'm working in an Islamic atmosphere with Muslims, and we're doing a lot of dawah work, and I have a political program, and we're having really good fun entertaining and informing and motivating Muslims and non-Muslims alike. And we even had, we've had a few people revert as a result of watching the Islam channel, and we even had one sister who took her shahada down the telephone live on TV, the first high-tech shahada, and it was brilliant. So, but I still do keep in and still work for the old Fleet Street crowd when they want me.
باعتبارك أنت إعلامية قديمة، ما سر الحملة التي يقوم بها الإعلام الغربي على الإسلام؟ هذا أولا. وهل تعتقدين أن هذا الإعلام موجه من جهات أخرى؟ ثم ما هي أفضل السبل لأن تصبح العلاقة بين المسلمين بخاصة في بلاد الغرب وبين الإعلام الغربي تصبح العلاقة جيدة؟ وشكرا.
Brother is Dr. Zaid Umar Mustafa. He's a professor in King Ibn Saud University in Islamic Studies. He preferred to express himself in Arabic. His question is that what is the secret behind this vicious campaign against Islam? Do you think that it is intentionally directed by governments? And the third part of the question is, what methods you would suggest to create an atmosphere of communication, positive communication between Muslims and between the mass media that creates this kind of vicious campaigns? Thank you.
Yes, there is a campaign against Islam, and of course it is coming down from governments, because a lot of powerful people are in government, and the reason why they fear Islam so much, one of the reasons is, look at tonight. What were we all doing a few years ago? We were probably all sold on the Western excesses, smoking, alcohol, goodness knows what else, TV, well, I work for the Islam channel, so we'll not go too far down that route. But look what's happened to the reverts. In Britain alone, there are 14,000 reverts to Islam since 9/11. The Quran since 9/11 has become the best-selling book in the world. More people are converting to Islam than any other faith in the world. And the vast majority of those converts, reverts, are women. And it has the governments scared. Why? Because we don't need grand churches or men with pointy hats and crooks to bow down to pray to God and use as a conduit, and we don't have to empty our pockets and throw them into collecting tins. If we want to create a mosque, we do that. We can draw a line in the sand, and that is our mosque. We don't drink. Now, America is the greatest superpower in the world, the largest army in the world, the greatest arsenal in the world. And it introduced prohibition, banned alcohol in the 1920s, and the greatest superpower in the world couldn't stop people drinking. How many people in here drink? I'd like to bet 0. Why? Why don't we drink? Because we fear America? Because we can't afford it? Because we're saving up for something? No, because we fear no one but Allah. And that is what the governments, the men in power, are afraid of. They fear our fear of Allah. And to illustrate how great this fear is, I'll tell a very simple story. There is a brother called Martin Mabanga. He was one of the Guantanamo Bay detainees, and he was released a few months ago, and he finally got to see his family, and he said to his sister, "I got letters from you, but phrases were blacked out, and so I couldn't understand what it was that you had said." And he showed her the letters, and everything that had been blacked out was "Inshallah." May Allah protect you. God willing. Any reference at all to God and Allah was blacked out. That is how they fear us. It wasn't a subversive message. You know, the file is in the cake under nothing like that. Allah. They fear Allah, not in the way we do. But this is why they have gone to war on Islam. Because they can't control us in the way that they would like to. And that is what it is all about. You have mentioned the demonization of Pakistanis and Hizb ut-Tahrir. Anything from your understanding of current politics about Syria? It's the relationship Syria and America has, it's schizophrenic. America keeps saying that Syria is in the axis of evil, and then it's knocking on the back door saying, take this prisoner and torture him and get whatever information you can. And Syria's going, yes, of course we'll do that, and they take him away. Then we're told that American troops are going into Syria when they're patrolling the borders of Iraq, and they're saying that Syria is providing all these foreign fighters. I know that that's untrue, and I know that that's propaganda, but Syria seems prepared to put up with this. It's a really bizarre relationship. It's an abusive relationship, and And Syria is in some sort of denial. It's acting like a battered wife.